Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of an experiment called Life with Alex McKenzie. That is me. As always, this episode is brought to you by Punchline Nutrition. Go check out NeuroBoost. It is like a multivitamin for your brain. They call them nootropics. I take it before I go on stage, before I do a podcast, before I do any kind of writing. I always say we won't guarantee that NeuroBoost will make you smarter, but it will make you less dumb. So go to punchlinenutrition.com, check it out. Use the coupon code ATJ at checkout, save yourself some money. And we also have the Hungry for Laughs comedy tour is now on sale. So we're going all across BC and Alberta. We've got an amazing lineup of comedians. Go to hungryforlaughs.com, check that out. Also use the coupon code ATJ and you'll save yourself some money for that. Now, today, I'm very excited. I've been looking forward to this chat since we had her booked. This lady is an author. She is a mother, a wife, a speaker. Please welcome Marianne Hickman. Marianne, thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me, Alex. I'm just in love with the energy that you're creating with your website, the comedy tour. Like, we all could use more laughs in our lives. So let's go.
Oh, I love it. Thank you so much. That's very, very fun. So, where should we, I like to always said, like, thank you for joining us. You're like, it's just me in my RV by myself. There's no us here. Yeah, where should we start? I guess we could give some background to get to people to know you before I start digging into some of your thoughts and thinking. So
Do it.
you do speaking, right? Keynote
Yes.
speeches, and you
Yes.
started doing that at a very young age.
Yeah, I was like 3. So this is what my church does. And this is when I have to give a nod to the church, right?
Yeah,
Because they take these 3-year-old kids and they put them in the scariest place in the world, which is the stage. And then we
yeah.
know this because it's the number one fear. It's like bigger than spiders. The kids would be like less afraid if we put them in a room with spiders, right? But we didn't do that. We put them on stage. And so they give me this stage time and I don't know what I'm doing. My mom's helping me write my talk. I got a little scratch on a piece of paper. And then they put them on rotation. So they put the kids on rotation and speak in front of their age group. And then when they're like 8 to 12, they have them speak to the entire congregation. So like 250 people. And they're like, okay, you're 2 minutes in front of these people, go. And then like they'll send them on missions and then they can give talks at people's front doorsteps. And so this speaking thing, I didn't know it, but it was always part of my life. And my 7th grade teacher, Mrs. Wilson, such an amazing woman. She's like the grandma everybody wishes they had. And I got to have her as an English teacher. I'm talking like the polyester skirts with the big safety pin on it and the
Yeah.
perfect hair and the blouses, right? Her just amazing lady. She put me in my first speaking contest. And I
Oh,
was
wow.
like,
Dude, they have speaking contests?
yeah, that aren't just
So,
arguments. I thought a
so it's
speaking
not, I
contest was
know, I
just
was
an
thinking, I
argument.
was like, oh, so is that like a debate?
Well,
But
yeah,
it's
that's what
not.
I thought, right?
Right. But
So,
what is it? You just pick like, you just have to try and talk the coolest?
well,
You're like, I
there's a
know some
lot
cool
like that,
words.
right? So what they do is they have these clubs like the Kiwanis Club and the Rotary Club, and these guys, they host speaking competitions for youth. And what you do is they give you a topic.
Right.
And so then you write your speech along that topic and you go and present. And to be honest with you, I don't know what they were judging on. It was probably 90% confidence rather than content,
Right.
which, you know,
Well, that
maybe
is
that's a
so
new
much of
t-shirt.
speaking though, even, right? Like that's one thing I've noticed with stand-up comedy as I've got better at it. Um, what I'm saying on stage honestly has very little to do with it. Like the
It's true.
biggest thing is like, how am I making you feel?
Yeah.
And that's all through like your energy and your body language. And I found that like when you really get a crowd and you have them, like you don't even have to say anything. Like sometimes you just stand there and just go, huh? And everyone will just laugh. And they're like, dude, like everyone's just having fun. And no one really remembers what you said, is what I've found
Hmm.
with comedy. Like at the end, they're like, oh man, I went and saw this great comedy show. It's so fun. You're like, oh, do you remember a joke from it? And they're like, ah. I don't. I can't remember a joke, but it was good. I remember I felt good. And that's what I always say is you're like selling people on a feeling, you know?
Oh,
Like
it's so true.
I always say like when you come to a show, I always say it's like the gym. Like a lot of the time you're like, oh, I don't know if I want to get dressed up and go out and leave the house and do all this. But I'm like, after the show, I guarantee that you'll leave feeling better than when you got there, you know?
Hmm. Hmm. Well, hopefully comedy show isn't as grueling as the gym. That can be put in dark places there sometimes.
I know. That's why I love the gym. The gym is the one time where I'm like, for an hour a day, I get to be a psycho. I get
Yeah.
to put my music in, be a lunatic, just stare at yourself in the mirror and be like, "You'll never be enough. Get it together." And you're just like lift weights and get to be a complete psycho. And then afterwards you walk out like a little happy golden retriever. Back to society.
Oh, it's so true, man. Oh my gosh. Oh,
Yeah.
I remember doing my bikini competition. That was hours a day in the gym. Beyond a regular gym routine, which hats off if everyone has a regular gym routine. But when you're doing a competition, you're in
Right.
there for like 2 hours, hour cardio minimum, an hour of lifting, and then it's like you're planning your meals, and then you're doing all this, and it is you do nothing else. You don't even go to family parties. You're like, no, I'm
Yeah.
prepping for my gym or my competition or whatever. Yeah,
How old were you
it's
when you
rough.
did your competition?
Oh gosh, that was like I think we're coming up on 2 years
Oh,
ago.
really? Oh,
Not
so,
two
so
years
just
old,
that
two
that
years
that's
ago.
yeah, so fairly recent.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Oh man.
Congratulations. That's something
Oh,
I would
thank
love
you.
to do. I would love to get on stage and do that. I could never get trim enough, of like trying to lose the weight. Like you can put on some size and muscle, but like the hardest part is just like the discipline of the not eating. And I
Well,
just
yeah.
struggle with it, which is funny because I actually do like a crazy water fast every year. So every year I go 2 weeks with just drinking water.
Dude, I've
So
heard of those.
yeah, so I like just drive this RV into the middle of the woods, away from everyone in society, and I just sit in here for 2 weeks and drink water.
Oh
And
my
so
gosh.
you would think that that discipline would like translate into being able to maintain a diet for like a competition, but the
Hmm.
diet for competition is so much I think having an end goal makes any goal easier, right?
Oh, for
Like
sure.
when
Oh yeah.
you're like, hey, I'm just trying to get to that finish line. I think that's why you hear some motivational speakers talk and they say, are you willing to sprint if the distance is unknown?
That's a
Right?
good question.
Yeah,
Hmm.
like how long
Hmm.
are you willing to sprint for if the distance is unknown? And it's like, dude, that's crazy. And I've heard that's like a good
Yeah.
way they describe like entrepreneurship and stuff like that.
Oh yeah. Well, and I think about that. My first gut, my body's like, no, that's asinine. We don't sprint if the distance. No, that's crazy talk. You're gonna die. But then
Yeah,
I think about if like if I had an emergency,
yeah,
like if God forbid something were to happen and I had to run away from something,
right.
like to save my child or if I'm running from a bear, yeah, I would sprint until I died because it was
Yeah,
either, die by sprinting or die by whatever's chasing you. Right. So
right.
if we get in the right mindset and if the why is powerful enough, yeah, we would have to. We'd be willing to do
Yeah.
that.
I've heard that Kobe Bryant talked about that when he was coming back from his Achilles tendon
Oh
injury. So
man.
he like tore his Achilles and then he was still able to walk off the court or whatever after. Like he
That's
finished his free throw,
insane.
walked off the court, and then came back. And when they asked him about it, he said, kind of like what you're saying. He's like, if you were in, he pictured if I was in my house right now and it was on fire
Yeah.
and I had to get my family out and get my kids and my wife out. He's like, I'm getting them out of that house. And he's like, so it
Yep.
is like a mindset kind of thing. So what
Yeah.
type of stuff do you talk about when you're on stage with your
So
keynotes?
I love speaking about speaking. I love speaking about body language. I love speaking about communication. I love speaking about stage geography. So my big thing when I'm speaking on stage is to first of all have fun with people. That's because, like you said, if we're not having fun, then we're not learning anything. Mr. Rogers said the same thing. We got to have fun. But then I really want to help entrepreneurs learn how to communicate. I want people to know how to leverage the power of their voice. Because if you think about it, communication is the baseline of everything. It's the baseline of your marriage. It's the baseline of your relationship with your kids, baseline of your business. If we don't know how to communicate effectively with each other to seek to understand and to be understood, then we don't have
Right,
anything. We don't even have a society. When God wanted to destroy a society in the Bible, he didn't cut off their water. He didn't cut off their food supply. He took away ability to communicate. And
right.
that did it. That
Yeah,
was
yeah,
it. Game over. Right.
yeah,
So it just shows how important communication is when we speak and understand each other. And it's everything from, you know, building a marriage to building a business to playing a game of Scrabble.
yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
it's literally everything.
Yeah, it is. I found that sometimes, when I'm having a hard time communicating with someone, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, am I saying the words that I think I'm saying? Because they are not responding how I think I should. But now, like, as I've got older and talk to my I like I'm like, hey, I don't think I'm expressing myself the way that I think I am. That's something that I
Hmm.
think comedy, there's so many areas like that I found comedies help me in my life. And I really love that one. Like when I'm on stage and then I started filming myself and then you would watch
Yes.
yourself back and then
Yes.
you would look and you're like, I don't, I'm not sending the message I think I am. Like I'm up there thinking that I'm saying these things and it's coming across very fun and playful and nice. And then you look at me and I'm like, my face is like this. And I'm like, my inflection is like down. And I'm like, dude, you sound like a grumpy jerk up there. Like, then you realize you're like, oh, there's so many other things than just the words that I'm saying. I have to like, oh, I need to like raise my eyebrow, like smile, like, but chin up, chest out. And like, but my voice, like have a higher inflection. And yeah, I found that.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
you're
So is
nailing
that,
it. All of these things, they're so important. And I was just reading an article this morning, and I'm a big science nerd. My kids call me Wikipedia. Like that's my nickname in my house. And I don't know
yeah.
if I'm proud of that or not, but like I'm always
No, it's a
like,
great one.
did you know that, and then and so there I saw this thing this morning that was talking about the laws of thermodynamics and the laws of physics and the laws of creation. And I'm one of those nerds. I kept my college textbooks and my high school biology book because they're so cool. They're so
Yeah.
freaking interesting. And I think the lessons that we have been given through thermodynamics and biology, they're applicable to everything else.
Right.
And what does public speakers always going to say that because that's what we do. We deep
Like
dive
thinking
into
like,
everything.
what is the energy cannot be created? It can only be
Yes,
transformed.
exactly. I
Yeah.
just created a post about this today because of that exact thing. So this thing that you're talking about, that energy can't be created or destroyed, it can only be transformed. That comes across in our speaking, in our comedy, whatever we're on stage, when we're talking to our spouse, when we're talking to our kids. Only 3 to 7% of what we are feeling comes across in the word, whether it's verbal or written, which is why texts get so misunderstood all the time
Right.
because we don't have tone. The other,
Right.
93 to 97% comes in through our tone, our body language, our facial expression, our pauses, our silence, our inflections, all of these pieces of our cadence, all of these things make up communication. And this was no clearer to me than when I was at church in Kenya. We're on a mission trip there just for 2 weeks
Yeah.
and I didn't speak Swahili.
Yeah.
Not a well, I think I said like Hakuna Matata. That was the only thing I knew, right? Like
Yeah.
they're like, hey, someone said it to me once. I backed up out of a circle. I accidentally stepped on someone's foot, and this guy behind me is like Hakuna Matata. I'm like, oh, I know what that means. That's a real thing.
Yeah.
Ah, cool.
I
Okay,
thought that
cool.
was just from The Lion King.
That's what I thought too, but it's a thing. So
It's
I'm
real.
I'm playing with these kids at church, right? And like we're out in this mud area, and there's little outbuildings and we're playing this game, but we can't use our words because we don't understand each other. And it was and I remember learning this from my sister because she did a similar trip. So I'm like, I'm gonna try this. I was like, the I'm gonna get you game, like the sneaking up on you and then playing tag. And then they would
Right.
run away and giggle, and then I would freeze and they would do the same thing. They got it. And we started playing together, and it was this mutual understanding, and these cultural barriers broke down, the race barriers broke down, and we understood each other and we had fun and it was memorable, like you're saying, because you remember the feeling. So
Yeah.
this concept is we're always living it, but we're not always aware of it.
Right. Well, I think a very good example of that is even just like dogs. Like you look at dogs, they don't
Yes.
talk at all. And it's like you can understand them pretty good, and we get along like man's best friend, right? Like
Yep.
yeah. They're,
Yeah. I've got 3 dogs. I used to have how many did we have? We had 13 because our dog had puppies.
oh,
But
wow.
it's true. And when you're training a dog, we're in the middle of training the puppy that hasn't sold, we're training him now. It's as much human training as it is dog training to learn to
I think
understand
that's the
each
bigger
other.
thing. I think that's the bigger
Yeah.
one. Like when I got my dog and I thought about putting him in like a dog training course.
Hmm.
But then the more I read on it and stuff, it's like, no, you need to learn. It's me who needs to learn, not him, you know?
Right?
Like, and then, yeah, so then that was amazing. Like, once I learned how to train my dog, he was the best, dude. I love him. I just lost my dog like three
Oh
months ago, and
no, I'm
oh, it's
so
the worst ever.
sorry.
It's like, yeah, it's
Oh,
okay. I'm getting through, but I'll tell you, the RV life is not very fun without him. It is
no
like, because
kidding.
I quit my job like 6 years ago to do comedy. So I was
Uh-huh.
actually, the reason I knew the thermodynamics thing is I did power engineering and instrumentation mechanics. So we
See, there
actually
we
did a
go. You
lot
got
of
your nerd glasses on.
thermodynamic stuff. Yeah, exactly. But then, yeah, I quit my job, sold my house and everything, and bought this RV and just started touring around with my dog Finley doing comedy. And it was
Mm.
so, yeah, I did. They're so good, dude. They're just the best little dudes, man. I was thinking about today because I was thinking about, I'm like, what about when I get to heaven and if Finley's there, what if Finley can talk? And I'm like, this sounds bad, but I'm like, I don't think I want him to talk. Like, I don't think I'd want my dog to be able to talk to me and be like, hey man, what did you think about down there? You know,
Oh
I'm like,
man.
I wonder if he, because I'm like, if he could talk, maybe it would screw it up. You know, I'm like, I
I
love
might
this.
take away the magic.
Yeah, but then I'm also like, well, how big of a jerk am I that I'm like, hey, I like this thing that can't talk back. And you're like, what does that say about me? But I'm like, oh, that's the best part is that he doesn't talk, which I'm sure a lot of people would love that about me if I would just not talk so much.
Oh
Yeah,
God, I hope not.
yeah, that's my whole shtick.
Yeah,
So you,
right?
another interesting thing I saw is that you, well, there's two things. So you run a homestead.
Yeah, well, yeah,
So
I'd like to call it that.
yeah, yeah. So what do you do? Do you grow
I
stuff?
mostly yell at my chickens.
Oh, nice. Do you get eggs every morning?
I do. I just went out and got a couple right before the episode, so that's my thing.
Oh,
Um,
amazing. I
if,
think the more that I get into it, I feel like I just know at my core, I'm in a very weird spot in my life. Like I'm trying to figure out my comedy career is starting to go very well. It's very exciting and very fun. But it is this very big life that you're chasing. And I dated a
Mhm.
girl last year and she was from a very small town, like 1,200 people. And we broke up and her thing was like, hey, I don't want to be, she's like, you're chasing this big life and that's great. But she's like, I want a little piece of land and like a little farm and my little family, you know?
Mhm.
And I'm torn between that because in my heart, I know that would make me happy. Like I
Yeah.
know just having like at the core of it all, it's like I think family is everything. I think that's
Hmm.
what we're meant to do is find a partner, go through life with them, raise your kids. And I really am enticed by the idea of like growing your own food and all it
Hmm.
just seems I'm like this would make me happy. But then I've got this other thing over here where you're chasing the stars. And but I do also know that if I did this, I feel like I would have gave up on my potential. Like, I
Hmm.
feel like that's something in my life that I want is I get so much joy in chasing my potential. You're like, here's like who I am, here's who I could be, and just trying to close that a little every day, you know? And I guess it would maybe just take a reframe and like, well, what is your potential? How is your potential of being a father or, you know, or a husband? And maybe if you did that, but I could never give up on the comedy thing. So you're like torn. I'm trying to figure, I'm like, could I just live on a ranch and then if I had a helicopter, I could
There
fly
you
to
go.
shows? And I'm like, you just have to make it big enough that you have enough money that you can live on the farm, have the simple life, and then on like the weekends or whatever, if you have to go on a tour, you know, fly out and do your tour and then come back home to the family, you know? Like,
Yeah.
can you have
Yeah.
it all?
Well, I think the answer to that is yes. I don't think, at least the God I worship doesn't say, well, sorry, nope, you're limited there. But the question is, how does the the music of your life sound right now? And I've been studying about this actually. I'm glad that you brought this up because I don't seek for balance. I tried that for a long time. It didn't work because not everything weighs the same at the same time. You
Right.
know, my kids don't weigh the same as my job all the time. When my kid says, "Hey, I just fell and there's a bone sticking out of my leg, I got to go to the hospital," suddenly the job doesn't matter. Doesn't like
Right.
I'm with my kids. But when they're fine and they're in school and I'm like, "Okay, well, it's time to provide." Yeah, the job is like, "Cool. We're doing that now." Okay, so you ready for some like next level like ethereal stuff because I've been
Yes.
studying this. Okay, so I'm scrolling on Instagram like we all do, and I see this account that says something along the lines of and I'll get there, but follow me on this path. It says architecture is frozen music. I was like, what are you talking about? And it showed this screen, and maybe you've seen this video of where they put a metal plate on the top of a speaker, horizontal, right? And then they pour sand on it, and then they play sound through the speaker, and the sand,
Yeah.
vibrates and it finds where it comes to rest. And then every time you change the note, the sand moves, right?
Right.
So it's saying that the the music is not just a linear thing. It's not just one wavelength. It's a sphere. It's wavelengths in all directions. And then it talked about how like architecture, it went into a little bit of that, of like ancient Gothic cathedrals and how it like mirrored the same thing you'd see on the sand plates and all that. But it got me thinking about this because what they further said was that everything is vibration. There's a very popular musician right now called Abel Hart. Love the guy. And
Yeah.
he's created a song about this, ironically. But he says everything is vibration, right? And there is a natural vibration. Back to physics. If we study the laws of physics, everything has a natural vibration at which it vibrates. Solids don't vibrate very much, gases vibrate a lot, and there's everything in between.
Right.
So when I was thinking about when I eschewed the word balance and I adopted the word harmony, I'm thinking about, okay, I want to be in harmony, which means everything in my music of life supports everything else. I'm just the conductor. There's
Right.
the violin section, there's the brass section, there's the piano section, there's the drums over here, there's maybe some dancers going on with choreography over there, and everything supports everything else. So my kids support my career supports my kids, which supports my marriage, and everything's just supporting everything else. And sometimes it's time for everything to play all at once, and sometimes the drums don't play, and it's time for a violin solo and all of these things. And then I thought what I'm learning about over here about scientific vibration and how everything that exists literally has a vibration. And I'm like, oh my gosh, when people say your vibe attracts your tribe, they're speaking literally and nobody knows it. When people say it's out, it's not my vibe or it's not my thing, we are speaking so literally that there is a dissonance. There's something that's causing a dissonance to where we don't like the music that we're conducting. We don't like the music that we're living in because it's like, guys, people know this. The guys down in Las Vegas know this. All of the casinos, all of the machines are tuned to the key of C. I don't know if anybody
Right.
knows this. So that
Yeah.
when you
Yeah.
walk into the casino, it's not an aural AURAL uh pain right there.
Right.
But when something comes into our lives that's causing that ick, that oh, something's not right, that tells you that there's something in your music that's not supposed to be there, or maybe it is supposed to be there, but it's not that turn for that solo or whatever
Right.
it is.
Right.
Now, the big question is, what's your music and do you like it?
Right.
And
How do
then you
you,
get to move the knobs and dials and change it up.
yeah. Yeah. I've heard a lot of that thing about like the vibration, that everything has a vibration. It sounds akin to like just like your almost like a gut feeling or
Oh,
your,
very much so.
and I don't know what that is, but you're like, oh, I get a weird energy from this person or that. And how do you get that to align? But so what do you think? Do you think there's actual vibrations? Like there's
Oh, yeah.
actual, and what are they? Like, it's just like a energy thing
Oh, absolutely. No,
that comes
what
off?
I've studied is if you have the right instruments, you can actually measure it. It's
And
really cool.
what would change your vibration? Like what do you
So
think?
human beings are fascinating creatures, and I'm learning more and more about this. I'm not going to claim to be an expert on this, but human beings are fascinating creatures because we can generate our own energy. And like this wood paneling, for example, it is frozen in its vibration. It's
Right,
not going to like vibrate into something else unless I apply heat or something
right.
to it, right?
Energy, yeah, yeah.
Exactly, exactly. Back to the laws of thermodynamics. But as human beings, we can shift what energy we are producing. We can
Right.
produce, I like when you say a prayer of gratitude, your vibration changes, the energy changes, just like you were saying in the
Yeah,
beginning.
so do you think your emotion is the driver then? Like whatever emotion you're feeling, would that be the thing? Because you
I don't
do
think
know,
so.
like, do you notice like if you're sad, well, I'm trying to think, like, because if everything just matched up, huh? Like if you're sad and you're around someone else who's sad, now you're like vibing, but maybe that's not
Right?
the energy thing. But then also you find those can create like a spiral, right? Like if you get an
Oh,
angry
yeah.
person with another angry person, it just is like it just
Now our
escalates.
intensity is like stretching,
Yeah, and
right?
you're just like amplifying each other's stuff. And then I saw a really good one about that where a person was just saying like you can't always bring someone up a level, but you can always bring someone down. And you hear
Mm,
that, and it does seem way easier, right?
that's the law
It's
of
a
entropy.
lot, right? Like it's a lot harder to what it's a heat always flows from a hotter surface to a colder surface unless aided with mechanical aid or something. Yeah.
Yep, yep.
Yeah, yeah.
It's the law of
But
entropy.
it
Without work, everything breaks down.
yeah. It because and if you think of that, it does make sense, right? Like if you're very around someone who's very jolly, if you're not in a good mood and they're very jolly, they can't always get you to be there. Like sometimes it will
Hmm.
rub off and it helps a bit. You're like, oh, that person's having fun, I'm having fun. Like, but if you're grumpy, I guarantee you, like I could go, you could cause chaos. Like you could
Oh
make
yeah.
everyone around you miserable. Like so quick. It seems easier. A good analogy I heard for that is like if you were standing on a chair, would it be easier for you to pull someone up onto that chair or for them to pull you off the chair down?
Mm,
And
hmm.
it's like, oh, it's a
Hmm.
lot easier to pull someone down off the chair than it
Right.
is
Not
to pull
impossible, but
someone
easier.
up. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But it's
No,
easier, yeah,
totally.
than to pull someone up. Yeah.
But where's the person on the floor want to be? That's the question. Does the
Yeah. Do you
person on the
want to be
floor
on the
want to
floor? Do
stay
you
on the
want to be on the
exactly,
chair? Yeah.
exactly,
How do you
exactly.
think people find their why? What do you think is the way to do
Ah,
that?
that is a good question. I think that I'm not, again, not going to proclaim to be an expert because I'm still in the pursuit of it,
Right.
right? It's the why is it's akin to the currency of wealth. Someone put it really well recently, and I really liked it. Someone said, "You know you're rich if money wouldn't change what you do every day."
Right.
And if you had no money restrictions, no currency
Mm.
restrictions at all, what would you be doing? And I don't think we think about this enough.
Yeah. Well, that is honestly the biggest thing I thought of when I quit because I was very lucky. Look, when I quit my job, I bought a house young. I bought a house when I was 20 years old, and then I quit my job when I
Nice.
was 30. So I sold it, and that's what allowed me to do this. It was like I had enough money that I was like I didn't have any money my whole life, and because I was broke, paying a mortgage and just paying bills and getting by, and I was like, I hated this. I hated my life. I'm
Uh-huh.
like, do I just do this till I die? You just live paycheck to paycheck, paying bills? And I was like, I don't want to play this game, so I quit. And I think about that, the money thing a lot, with what I'm doing. Because when I quit my job and now I had nothing to do. I had this RV, I had me and my dog. And I remember I'm like, I'm getting out of town, just drive to a parking lot. And you're like, what do you want to do, man? Like, you
What
do
a
whatever you want
feeling.
today. And it was like so weird. And I was like, even when I was like, I'm a comedian, I was like, how do I do this? Like, what do you do? Like, do I just, and I was like, I guess start writing jokes. And so I just like started trying to write jokes. And then it was like learning how to book shows and do all of this. And then, but the big thing was what it took me years to figure out a routine of like, hey, what do you like? What do you like when you wake up in the morning? What do you want to do? And I was like, well, I want to journal. So I start every morning, I journal. So I write down my regrets first thing, and then what
Mm.
I'm grateful for. I'll explain the regret thing in a sec. What I'm grateful for, then I write down things I want to get done in my business or life that day or week, and then I just word vomit. The regret thing is to do with Daniel Pink has a book, and he just says basically, if you tell me what you regret, I'll tell you what you value.
Ooh,
So he
that's
says,
profound.
yeah. So he goes like, we look at regret as a very bad thing. Like we look at negative emotion in general as bad. But he's like, negative emotion is what drives us. Like it's telling us, hey, we don't like this. Don't do this anymore. And so
Yeah.
it's like, and then he studied 16,000 people's regrets and they all fall into like four different categories. Like they're all the same thing. It's
I need
just
to look
like,
up this book.
yeah, oh yeah, it's Daniel Pink. Yeah, it's I forget what it's called. Just look up Daniel Pink
I'm
and
doing it.
regret. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just it's amazing. And so, it's like if you say that I regret that I was vaping, then it's like, well, that means that you value health, right? Like
Mm.
like you want to live a healthy life. Or I regret the way that I reacted to a conversation with my sister. It's like, well, you value relationships, so you value family.
Mm.
I shouldn't have spent that money. Well, then you regret having some sort of financial foundation. Like you want, you know, and so it's very good. I think it's a very good way to kind of check in and
Wow.
give you a good direction. But
No,
yeah,
I'm glad you
anyway,
said that because I've always thought of like this no regrets thing as complete and utter bullcrap.
yeah, that's what he says. He talks about it in there. He says like there's no regrets. He's like the only people who don't have regrets are 4-year-olds and sociopaths. Like that's it, you know?
What
It's
does
like the
that say
rest
about
of us,
4-year-olds?
yeah, right? They're freaks. Um, but then he has like a very good one about the other one's like moral regrets. And he says that one's very endearing because he said it's
Mhm.
like you get put in a position to do the right thing or the wrong thing. You did the wrong thing and now you regret it. But what that shows is that people want to do the right thing. You know,
Mm.
like people, we do in our heart, we want to do the right thing, but we make mistakes. And that's like a very endearing one. Um, but yeah, so back to the thing about the what is wealth and your why of that is like, what would you do if you had unlimited money? And I've got to have that experience on a micro level, you know, like I've never had just where I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go get a private jet, fly across the city, party in Ibiza. Like I've never had that money. Like when I sold my house, I think I had like $50,000 left over after buying this RV and everything.
Yeah.
But then I was like, I have enough for like I can do whatever I want to an extent. Like I can't just go buy crazy stuff, but as far as my life, I'm like, you can go get groceries, you can go do like there's you can do whatever you kind of want to do. And you start thinking, well, what do I like? And that's when I really start getting into the gym. I was like, well, I like going to the gym. And I was like, well, we can do that every day. So why don't we do our writing? So we do our journaling. And I was like, okay, and now I will go to the gym. And then I was like, I like cooking. I really like cooking. So and I was like, now every day after the gym, I go to the grocery store. You get your groceries and you cook. And I love comedy. So I was like, okay, so I self-produce everything. So I just rent venues. So I use that money to like rent a venue and put on a show and put together a marketing campaign. And then I just hope that I sell more tickets than it costs me to put on. And that's kind of the gamble. And I just liked doing that and performing. I was like, okay, find a way to just keep doing this. And when I thought a lot about like my big dream, and this is one that in a weird way it holds me back, but it also gives you a bit of direction. The
Mhm.
big dream was like, I want to travel the world, perform in packed arenas. I want my mom and my dad and my family there with me and my friends. And yeah, this is what I want to do. But then when I zoom out, I go, well, I'm already doing that,
Mhm.
but on a smaller scale. Like I remember one
Mhm.
time I just finished a show at a place called 100 Mile House, and I was on my way to Kamloops, and I was picturing that. And I was like, oh man, it's gonna be great when you have all these things. And I'm like, you're in a giant tour bus, and you're like, all your family and friends are there with you in the tour bus, and you're going to another town to perform at this big show. But then I looked and I went like, my mom comes to like 80% of my shows. Like
Oh,
my
that's
mom's retired now
awesome.
and she follows me around. She
Oh.
sells all my merchandise and she's like, she loves it. And I remember I was driving and I look and I go like, well, your mom and dad are right there behind you in their car. And I'm like, you already have this RV. Like, and you're leaving a show you did last night to go to another show tonight. I'm like, you're already doing it, just not at the scale that you want. But then you realize you go, if you're not happy now, you're not going to be happy then. Like, I'm like,
Mhm.
would a bigger RV make this cooler? I'm like, one thing that would be cool is if I had a driver. Like, if I didn't have to
Right?
drive it, that would be kind of nice, right? And you can hang out with your friends in the back. And it's like, and the bigger shows are fun. Like, the bigger the show, it is funner. I mean, you would know from speaking, right? Like being in front of a bigger, larger crowd. I mean, sometimes though, those small, intimate ones are the funnest.
Yeah,
But
well, there's different reasons, a bigger crowd when they laugh, it's 7,000 people laughing, and that's cool,
yeah, yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah. And then, but yeah, it just made me realize then I picture all the time and I go, say that I had $100 million. I go, what would I
Mhm.
be doing? And it was like, I literally would be doing exactly what I'm doing now, but on a bigger scale. Like I said,
Mhm.
I would just
Mhm.
be like, well, let's rent, a stadium and try to do that and see what happens. And, the travel would be a little more luxurious and that kind of thing. But it's like at the core, I'm like, I still want to write every day. I want to go to the gym. I want to cook a good meal. Like, you know? So I
Well,
think,
that's your
yeah,
why. I mean, you're doing it, and that's maybe it's for this season. I don't know. Maybe it's for forever. But you're in the sprint. You'd keep. It sounds like you'd keep sprinting at this if it was 100 million or $100.
right.
You know.
But that's again the thing though that kind of it can motivate, but it can also demotivate at the same time because you go, just enjoy it now. You're already there. You know, it's like
Mhm.
the story of the Mexican fisherman. Have you heard that one?
I don't think so.
Oh, dude, it's great. So there's a Mexican fisherman and he's a this American entrepreneur guy is down in Mexico and he meets this fisherman and the fisherman is like coming back to the docks at like, it's like 11 a.m. or something. And he unloads a bunch of fish. And then the American goes over to the Mexican fisherman. And it's like, hey man, like, did you just catch all those today? He goes, yeah, dude, I just caught them all today. And he's like, well, what are you gonna do with the rest of your day now? He's like, well, I'm gonna, sell a few at the market or whatever to get some money, and then I'm gonna take the rest home. I'm gonna feed my family. I'm gonna spend my time with my kids. And he goes, dude, you could fish all day and catch way more and then sell them and get a bunch more money and then he goes, well, why would I? The fisherman goes, and why would I do that? And he goes, well, because then you could use that money to buy more boats. And then you could employ your friends to be on those boats and you could catch more fish to make more money. And then the Mexican fisherman goes, well, why would I want to do that? He goes, because then you could franchise and you could create, have these fishing boats and tours all across Mexico. And then you could make even more money. And then one day you could sell that company for millions of dollars. He goes, and why would I do that? He goes, because then
And
you could spend more time with your family and your kids. And he goes, well, I'm already doing that. Right. So
here
it's
we
like,
are.
so that's the thing that I always find is I always tell myself, I think of that thing all the time now where I go, well, what is the goal? I want to get rich and famous so that I have more money so I can be around my friends and family and spend more time with them. But then I'm like, or I could just be content with where I am now and not have to push so hard and I could spend the time with them now. And it's a weird, I don't know. I
Well,
struggle with that.
well, there is a wrestle with that. There's a wrestle to be made because if I go back to scripture, I'm learning so much from scripture right now. There's the parable of the talents. Right? Have you heard this one?
Okay. No, no. I actually do. My grandma just passed and she just gave me her Bible and I've been
Oh,
reading it
wow.
the
I'm so
last few
sorry for
days.
your
It's very
loss.
exciting. Oh, yeah. Thank you.
Well,
Yeah,
this
it's
this
very sweet.
story's in there, and this is what's really cool about the parable of the talents. So this is Jesus talking about um a wealthy man, and he has three people who work for him, and he gives them each. It's called a talent, and most people don't know what that means. They think it's like a skill, but
Right.
a talent in biblical times was a measurement, kind of like a dozen is a measurement. A
Okay.
talent was a measurement of gold, kind of like a carat is, but a talent is, I think it's 82 pounds of gold. And in today's, that's like what, $80 million or something astronomical
Oh,
like
wow.
that. So,
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
so it's meant to convey a giant amount of money, right? So we give one of his guys one talent, a lot, and he's like, go make something out of it. And he gives one guy like two or three or something like that. And then he gives another guy five,
Yeah.
right? So he's like, I gave you all the stuff, go make something with it. And the guy that got five, he comes back and he's like, I went to the city, I invested it, I came back and now there's 10. And
Yeah.
the master's like, you did a great job, you grew your talents, it's very good. And then, the other guy comes back and he's like, you gave me two, I went and invested it, I came back with four. And he's like, great job, you did good stuff, everything's growing. And then the guy with the one talent, he's like, well, what'd you do with yours? And he's like, well, I went and buried it because I was afraid of losing it. So I only have the one still.
Yeah.
And the master is like condemning him. He's like, how dare you bury your gifts?
Right.
How dare you bury what I gave you? And the whole lesson is to say that God has given us, we were born with these skills, these gifts, these desires, these passions, these energies, these talents, literally, like not money, but
Yeah.
skills.
Yeah.
What are we doing with it? And so when I'm in this incubator as well, where I think about, okay, this goal that we have, these career goals that we have, is why gonna be so I can spend time with my kids and my family because that's valid and that's something I value. And then Tony Robbins, he also talks about the six basic human needs. So the family is a connection, that's a basic human need, but there's this other basic human need that we have, which is contribution.
Right.
And the question mark I think a lot of us wrestle with is what level of connection is right and what level of contribution is right. Because my husband and I have a goal. We want to make in the billions while preserving and protecting our time with our family.
Right.
But we have a big goal to leave a mark on the planet that lasts longer than our family name does. We have
Right.
so much philanthropic desire to give back. And it's not that we need the credit. We just want to do the good that we're able to do without sacrificing the good that comes first in our family. And so the question is, like you said, how do we experience a measure of that today before the billions are in the bank account, right?
Hmm.
And how do we not bury our talent? How do we grow it to the maximum possible and keep our harmony? I think I don't know the answer to that. I'm looking for it, and we try every day.
Right. Yeah, that's a very beautiful goal. That's very sweet. It reminds me of like Mexico and the Day of the Dead. When they talk
Yes.
about like you die twice, once is
Yeah.
when you leave this planet, and the second time is the last time someone mentions your name.
Oh,
So,
see, that's I
so
love that movie. Oh, did you see Coco?
oh yeah, Coco, yeah, for sure. I
Love
loved
that
Coco,
movie.
yeah. Actually,
Oh,
I close all my shows by doing like a heartfelt speech at the
oh,
end.
cool.
And so my first one I talk about Mexico and the Day of the Dead. And I
Oh,
talk about
wow.
how I'm like people like Shakespeare still live on through the art that they've created. And I'm like, that's what I hope. I hope one day I create something that allows my name to live on long after I'm gone.
Mm-hmm.
Then to make it funny, I say, but I mean, people still mention Hitler all the time, so
Oh,
like,
geez.
like different ways we can do this,
It left a mark. That's
Yeah,
for sure. Oh
but
my gosh.
I guess
Whew.
a really good way to think of it, like where you're talking about contribution, it triggered something for me where I thought about because I do get it's very endearing and it's very sweet. I do get a lot of messages now, of people saying, or people coming to my shows and be like, "Hey man, like," because I used to post really dumb jokes every day online. Like all through COVID, I'd do a dumb joke a day. That was my whole thing.
I love
And
that.
then when I did a show in Ontario this year, and this woman came up to me and was like, "Man, like, you were what got me through COVID." Like, she's like, I would watch your dumb
Oh.
joke every day, and it was just this like silly relief from all the chaos in the world, and it helped me. And you get those, but I think from the artist, like, it's very sweet, but it doesn't feel. I'm like, I'm just doing a dumb thing. Like, it's not, like it doesn't. I I don't feel it's justified them being so kind with their words to me.
Hmm.
But when I think of who inspired me, like I think of guys like I love Eminem and I love Macklemore and they
Oh,
like
same.
changed my life, dude. And I want like to think you could do that to someone else. That
Right.
might be the driving force that I'm missing is that you could like because I guess what happens is your ego gets away. It sounds arrogant to be like, "Oh, I could do that." Like and it's like, who you think you're? Who do you think you are? Um, but I guess the idea of if you could do that for someone else, because like those guys were the ones that made me quit my job and made me realize, like, hey, I don't want to do this thing. And you listen to all their stories, and the more you read about any of these people who had great success, they're just human like you and I, and they're just another person, and they just had a dream and were like, I'm gonna try this thing. And like Macklemore, I just posted it the other day. He has a song called Make the Money.
Mm-hmm.
And the first three lines of that song, he answered every fear that I had of quitting my job.
No
And
kidding.
because like I was very depressed, very sad. I don't think I would have made it if I was like, that's why I had to make a change. I'm like, dude, if you're not going to make it to 40, if you stay here, you are going to
Wow.
self-harm. Like it's going to be terrible. Like you're not going to do it. And and a lot of time during the road of comedy, it's been very hard. Like it's been I've thought about quitting a ton. Like
I'm
you've just,
sure.
but Macklemore has a line, the opening line of that song, he says, "This is my job. I will not quit it. It pulled me out the depths when I thought that I was finished." And then
Oh,
you're like, what if I never make it? And then the second line of the song is literally, he goes, "Yeah, I questioned if I could go the distance, but it's about the work regardless of who's listening. And he goes,
Mm.
see, I was meant to be a warrior, fight something amongst me and leave here victorious. And then you think about, so you're like, oh, this isn't about any, it's about an inner battle with me, within myself. And then the third one, you're like, what about money? What if I never, like, how am I going to survive? And then he says, like, whether it's a classroom of kids or a venue performance, if I did it for the money, I'd have been a effing lawyer. And I'm like, oh, dude. I'm like, yeah, man. If I was worried about money, I would have stayed at my old job, you know? Like,
Yeah,
but it
yeah.
literally is like hearing that and him and his come up because he did it all completely independent as well. Like, he's the only artist ever. He's the only artist ever to go double diamond as an independent artist.
Oh
And he
my
might be the only
gosh.
artist ever to independently even win like some Grammys and stuff.
He's
Like, because he
incredible.
won
I watched him
artist
open
here.
for Imagine Dragons and I was like, that's my guy. I jam out to his stuff all the time.
Yeah. Well, he has so many good songs that you don't know about. Like, like Thrift Shop in Downtown, but then it's
Oh,
like,
sure.
go listen to like his actual stuff, dude, where he's like sending a mess. It's the best. Yeah.
Oh, see that back to music. It's all about this. Like he's communicating. Oh, yeah. There's something brilliant in
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. Before I let you go, Marianne, I would love to ask you, this is something I ask people all the time, because I think it's just interesting to show a lot of time we have like a belief and then it seems so right. And then later on, you can step back and realize that you're like, why did I used to think that? But anyway, the thing I ask people is, what is something that you used to believe to be true that you no longer do?
Oh, that's a really good question. I've thought about this a lot because I actually track the worst advice I've ever gotten. I have a note on my
Okay.
phone.
Yeah, dude, that's almost like the regret thing where you're like, hey,
Yeah.
you want to know what not to do. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. And there's a lot in there that it's advice that I paid someone to give me, right? Because I
right.
hired mentors and I still do. Uh, but really, this is one I've been thinking about is, and I'm kind of ashamed to admit it, that I used to think this was true.
Hmm.
And I thought there was an altruistic thread in it, and it just it wasn't. There's a difference between impact and ego.
Right,
I used to want to be a household name.
right.
And I used to want like Kleenex. Everybody knows what Kleenex, Band-Aid. Everybody knows you're never going to be as famous as cheese now. I understand
Yeah,
this,
yeah,
but
yeah.
but I used to want to be a household name and I didn't have a really good reason for backing that up. I
Right,
thought fame was important. And in my head, I was like, well, I'm going to use my fame to do the good and blah, blah, blah. And it's completely just not true. Yes, it does help your business when people know who you are so you can get customers. Of course, I believe that. That's part of the business side of it. But it seems to be the theme of what we've been talking about this whole time is doing a measure of what you want without the barriers that you thought had to be there. I don't
right,
need fame to do the good that I've been wanting to do. I don't need to be in every household. I don't want to be. There's some households I don't want to be in, you know, to impact the people that I want to impact. I have a goal to put people on a million stages and help them
right,
make $1 billion doing it. But I don't need the world to know who I am. I need the world to know who they are.
right,
That is the most powerful thing that I believe now. If I can be a part, I don't need the credit, but if my mission will be fulfilled if I can help someone else find out who they are,
right. I really like
that's
that the difference between impact and ego at first. I was like, what does that mean? And you did a very beautiful job explaining that. And it was that's very, very sweet. I think that's a very good way to put it. It's like, yeah, because I think that's true measure of success, or one measure of success would be like, yeah, how many lives have you impacted? Again, Macklemore has a sweet line. He goes, was I just alive for success, or did I leave a better life for the rest?
that's it. That's the
And that's
energy
like, because what's
right
he
there.
say? He goes, the greatest secret I've ever kept is that I'm worried of dying with regrets. Like, was
Hmm.
I just alive for success, or did I leave a better life for the rest? Oh, there goes. My greatest achievement isn't the dollars. My greatest achievement isn't the followers. My greatest achievement isn't the accolades. My greatest achievement is my daughters. He goes, waking up in the
Oh,
morning, being a father, seeing the sun kiss her eyelids. Yeah, it's so
that's the
good.
feels, man. That's it
Yeah.
right there.
That's what I think. I just think that guy captures it. Like, I don't think anyone captures the artistic pursuit or anything like that like he does. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why every time I hear any of that stuff, you're like, oh, Macklemore has a line for that. It's crazy, dude. Yeah. Oh. Well, Marianne, I should probably let you go. Before I do, though, how can people get a hold of you? What's the best way for them to find you so you
Well,
can
I'm on.
impact and help their lives?
Well, if that's been, if we resonate, we vibe together, and if you think that I'm cool enough, go to my website, mariannehickman.com. Follow me on Instagram. I'm on most major platforms, but I'm most active on Instagram.
Yeah.
And that's where we can hang out. Just message me. I do all my messages personally. I haven't I'm trying to turn off all my AI bots because they're so weird. So
Yeah. I
message me
I
and I'll
don't
reach
have
out.
any yet. I don't
Uh,
have any. Yeah.
there's some things
Aw.
that should be automated and lots of things that shouldn't. And I think we're self-correcting right now.
Yeah. I know my brother was telling me the other day he heard a joke about how it's just robots talking to robots now. Because
Oh,
everyone
yep.
has an AI bot for like the email that's like, hey, read this email, send a reply. And then the other person has a AI robot that's just email, like robots sending emails back and forth, and humans aren't even
Yep.
reading them. You're like, what the
Yep.
hell is going on?
That's so true, man.
Oh. Yeah. Well, it was very sweet. I had a very good chat with you. There were so many more things I wanted to talk to you about. I have them all written down here, and I didn't get to any of them. But it was very sweet chatting with you, and we'll definitely do it again.
I appreciate it, Alex. I hope we run into each other again soon.
Okay, take care.
See ya.